Let's go Dolphins! The tight end situation in Miami is heating up, and fans, we have a lot to talk about. The Dolphins are on a mission to make it to the Super Bowl, and to do that, Mike McDaniel needs a solid, reliable, and dynamic roster. The tight end group, however, is under the microscope more than ever, and not necessarily for good reasons. The big elephant in the room is the uncertain status of Jonnu Smith. Despite a phenomenal 2023 season in which he ranked fourth among tight ends in receiving yards, 886, tied for second in touchdowns, 8, fourth in targets, 109, and even broke Miami franchise records previously held by Randy McMichael, he remains unsigned. Smith is a key asset on this team. The tension behind the scenes is palpable. From what we've gathered, Zach Sealer appears to be the front office's priority right now, with rumors suggesting his extension is the first domino they'll want to knock over, and only then will they turn to Smith. It's a dangerous game. Smith isn't just a serviceable tight end, he's a proven weapon. He's not the most well-rounded tight end in the league. His blocking still needs work, but he's a threat in the passing game, something that's sorely lacking on this current roster at the tight end position. Before we go any deeper, if you're a real Dolphins fan and have been riding with this team through the ups and downs for over 20 years, smash that like button and drop a comment saying, "Go Dolphins!" My heart bleeds aqua and orange. Now, let's break this down. If Jonnu Smith doesn't return, what do the Dolphins have at tight end? Pharaoh Brown, who signed a $1.1 million deal with only $20,000 guaranteed, offers solid blocking ability. That's it. His contract makes it easy to cut him if necessary. He's a decent fit for the Dolphins' new direction, tougher, more physical and short yardage, especially considering other recent signings like Jonah Williams, James Daniels, Alec Ingold, and Alexander Madison, who all suggest a move toward grit over finesse. But can Brown step up as a receiving threat? Doubtful. Next in line is Julian Hill. He's got the coaching staff's attention and love, especially from Mike McDaniel and his own teammates. Armstead even praised him as one of the best blockers not on the O-line. But Hill's consistency has been an issue. Penalties, fumbles, and mental errors have plagued him. He's been labeled a liability more than once, despite flashing some potential with key receptions. His biggest enemy is himself, and those yellow flags. Tanner Conner, converted from wide receiver to tight end, he missed last season due to injury but has drawn some quiet buzz in OTA and minicamp. We know McDaniel loves his pet projects, and Conner is one of them. The staff believes in his upside, but belief isn't production. Until we see him under pressure in live reps, it's all projection. Then we have Hayden Rucci and Jalen Conyers. Rucci was a UDFA last year who's barely seen action, and Conyers, another undrafted free agent this year out of Texas Tech, is even more raw. Conyers signed a $115,000 guaranteed contract, which is relatively significant for a UDFA, and he ran a 4.74, respectable, but far from game-breaking. PFF ranked him 14th out of 21 tight ends. These guys are long shots for the active roster and likely candidates for the practice squad unless someone really flashes in camp. The reality? Without Jonnu Smith, this room is made of question marks and unfinished projects. It's a depth chart defined by uncertainty, not competition. That's why fans are desperate for Jonnu to return. Even though he isn't a complete tight end, and let's be honest, he lined up in the slot just 16th most among TEs, he's the only one in that group that demands defensive attention. If he walks and Greer doesn't find a real replacement, this offense will have a gaping hole in the middle of the field, especially in the red zone. There's a very real possibility that McDaniel will shift tight end usage to focus more on blocking schemes while leaning heavier on wide receivers and running backs in the passing game. That's not ideal, but maybe it's the reality we're heading toward. So the big question here is, what's the plan? If Jonnu Smith isn't brought back, are the Dolphins really going to roll into week 1 with this group? Is Greer even aware of what's at stake here, or is he once again letting the team's potential slip through his fingers? Let's dive straight into the second part of this tight end saga, because what we're seeing here isn't just a roster concern, it's a potential tipping point in Miami's offensive structure heading into a critical season. If Mike McDaniel truly wants to push this team to a Super Bowl, he cannot afford uncertainty in any room, and especially not at tight end, a position that often dictates the balance between blocking efficiency and receiving versatility in this offense. Now let's not sugarcoat it. The depth here is alarming. Julian Hill, while beloved internally, is inconsistent and penalty-prone. Pharaoh Brown is a run-game enhancer, not a game-changer in the air. Tanner Conner, still unproven. Hayden Rucci and Jalen Conyers are essentially long-term experiments, not short-term solutions. This isn't a group you go to war with in January. And that brings us back to the absurd reality. Jonnu Smith, your franchise record-breaking tight end, remains unsigned while guys with half the production are securing their futures elsewhere. The issue isn't cap space. Miami's made moves to restructure contracts, and they've shown they can maneuver the numbers. It's about priorities, and Grier, once again, seems to be missing the mark. The guy has let talent walk before and doubled down on projects instead of playmakers. Let's be honest, the only reason he still has a job is because of McDaniel and the development of Tua Tagovailoa. His margin for error is razor thin now, and if this tight end group falters mid-season because he refused to ink Jonnu to a reasonable deal, that's on him, no excuses. The smart move? Lock in Jonnu Smith now and stabilize the room. The market isn't going to wait forever, and his contract demand isn't outrageous given his production. A top 5 tight end in 2023 who was paid like the 30th? That's a front office failure, plain and simple. And look, we get it, McDaniel's offense doesn't lean on traditional tight end roles as heavily as others. That's why you're seeing fullbacks like Alec Ingold get creative usage, and why RBs like a Chain and Mostert are catching more passes out of the backfield. But even so, having a reliable, physical presence like Smith in the slot or as a decoy opens the field for Waddle and Hill in ways no other TE on this roster can. Without him, teams will press our wideouts more aggressively, stack the box on short yardage, and dare us to beat them with one of these unproven names at tight end. That's not the kind of leverage you want to give defenses if you're trying to take the next step as a playoff contender. Let's not forget, last year's collapse down the stretch wasn't just about injuries. It was about depth and execution. Can you trust Tanner Conner to deliver in December with the season on the line? Can Julian Hill go a full game without a drive-killing flag? These are not hypotheticals. These are risks we're staring at right now. So what does McDaniel do if Grier fails to act? Shift strategy? Go tight end by committee? Focus more on 3 receiver sets and motion-heavy misdirection? Probably. But you can't scheme around everything. At some point, someone's got to block in the trenches and catch that contested ball over the middle on 3 RD and 7 in a playoff game. Right now, outside of Jonnu Smith, no one in that room has earned that trust. This is why camp battles matter. They're not just roster fill. They are previews of the cracks that could sink the ship later. Fans see it, players know it, and unless Grier wakes up and locks down the only proven talent in the room, this team could be one twisted ankle away from disaster at tight end. So here's what I want to know from you, the fans who ride with this team every season, rain or shine. If Jonnu Smith doesn't get re-signed, do you believe someone in this current group can step up and be a legitimate TE1? Or should McDaniel and company already be scanning the trade market or free agency for reinforcements? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every one of them. And if you're fired up about this breakdown and want to stay locked in all season long, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and check out the video on the screen right now for more exclusive Dolphins updates. This is your home for real talk, unfiltered analysis, and all things aqua and orange. Fins up, we're just getting started.